For this question, we want to find the center, radius, and intercepts of the circle given below and sketch the graph of the circle. Our circle has the equation x minus 1 squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 4. We know this is the equation of a circle because it's in the proper form. In the form of a circle, the standard form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And this matches that format. We have x minus 1 squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 4. Now the h and the k that are in the standard form stand for the center of the circle. The center is hk, and for our example, we'll use 1 for the h. You can see that the h is the value after the minus sign. So we have an x-coordinate of 1. However, on the y-coordinate, we don't have a minus, we have a plus. But every addition can be written as subtraction, and you do that by adding the opposite. So y plus 8 is the same thing as y minus a negative 8. So that number after the minus sign is a negative 8, and that is the y-coordinate of our center, or k. Then you can also see that on the other side of the equation, we have r squared. R stands for the radius. On the other side of our equation, we have a 4. So we know that those two match. The radius squared will equal 4. I can square root both sides to get r equals 2. Really plus or minus 2. But since the radius is a distance, we'll only use the positive value. So we get, for our example, that the radius is 2. So we found the center, we found the radius, and now let's find the intercepts of our circle. To find an x-intercept, we let y equal 0. This gives x minus 1 squared plus 0 plus 8 squared equals 4. X minus 1 squared equals 0 plus 8 squared. 0 plus 8. 0 plus 8 is 8, and 8 squared is 64. I can solve this equation by isolating the square. I would subtract 64 on both sides, and that gives me x minus 1 squared equals negative 60. As I continue to solve this equation, I can see that I'm going to get imaginary solutions. If I were to square root both sides to get rid of the square, I have the square root of a negative, which will produce an imaginary solution. So I know that that indicates that there are no x-intercepts for this circle. So let's move on to finding the y-intercepts. To find a y-intercept, you let x equal 0. I'll substitute 0 in for x in the equation of the circle. That's 0 minus 1 squared plus y plus 8 squared equals 4. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. I'll solve this equation by isolating the square. I'll subtract 1 on both sides. That gives y plus 8 squared equals 3. I'll square root both sides. The square root and the square cancel each other out, giving you y plus 8. You gain a plus or minus sign on the other side. You gain that plus or minus anytime you square root a square. And then I'll subtract 8 on both sides, giving me y equals negative 8 plus or minus square root of 3. So this circle would have two y-intercepts, one at 0, negative 8 plus square root of 3, and the other being at 0, negative 8 minus square root of 3. So the final thing we want to do with this example is to graph our circle. To graph our circle, I'm going to plot the center. We found the center to be at 1, negative 8. So here's the center of the circle. And then we're going to use the value of the radius. The radius is 2 for this example. So we'll, from the center, move up 2. That's a distance of 2. 2 to the left, that's a distance of 2. 2 down, a distance of 2. And 2 to the right, a distance of 2. I'm reminding you that the radius represents the distance from the center to every point on the circle. So by traveling a distance of 2 away from the circle, you're arriving at points on the circle. We're going to connect those points to create the circle. And there we have the graph of the circle. I just want you to notice that this confirms what we found algebraically. We found algebraically that there were no x-intercepts, and you can see that on the x-axis, the graph does not cross that x-axis, confirming that we have no x-intercepts. However, you can see the graph does cross the y-axis, and we did get two y-intercepts. Thank you for checking out my videos. Have a great day.